The Investor Confidence Project, or ICP, is administered by the Green Business Certification Incorporated, or GBCI. It was established to address market barriers which inhibit large-scale investments in energy efficiency projects. The ICP methodology provides a standardized roadmap for project development which awards Investor-Ready Energy Efficiency, or IREE, certification. IREE certification provides owners and investors with confidence in the energy, financial, and environmental performance of building retrofits, and helps them proceed without needing to dedicate time, money, and energy on unnecessary due diligence. Investing in energy efficiency projects presents a variety of risks for owners and investors. Most of these risks can be categorized into one of three types. Credit risk. Will the borrower repay their debt? Asset risk. Will the asset increase in value? And performance risk. Will the project deliver expected returns? Today, almost all underwriting is based on credit risk, which limits investors' focus to a small subset of buildings and owners that already have access to capital. Overemphasis on credit risk during the underwriting process also prevents investors from properly weighting the expected cash flow associated with projects, and results in a lack of investment options for projects that are potentially quite profitable. The industry has many solutions focused on credit and asset risk, but until now has not successfully addressed performance risk. ICP's industry-accepted approach minimizes performance risk. Effective evaluation and management of performance risk is not only a driver of the rate at which investment offers are made, or deal flow, but is also a precursor to underwriting projects based on cash flow instead of credit. This is critical to generating the level of capital investment required to fulfill the energy efficiency industry's full potential. Today, some of the most prevalent barriers for the scaling of project deal flow are unreliable returns, perceived risk, due diligence resources, lack of standardization, and limited or insufficient data. ICP's methodology was developed to address these barriers head-on and offers a strong value proposition for the energy efficiency industry. Let's look at each one of these barriers in greater detail. Projected savings and returns are unreliable. The variance in the realization rates for projected returns leads to some winners, but far too many underperforming projects. Owners and investors are often skeptical that their investments will be rewarded. Unreliable returns results in a profound lack of confidence amongst the decision-makers for energy efficiency projects. The ICP methodology provides a standardized and transparent process for developing energy efficiency projects that increases owner and investor confidence. IREE-certified projects are engineered, developed, and independently verified by qualified professionals using industry best practices and are more likely to offer consistent returns. There is a general perception that energy efficiency projects are too risky, and that risk, especially performance risk, cannot be easily mitigated. Identifying underperformers and associated risk factors with certainty is difficult. Typically, owners and investors are not able to identify or manage risk because energy efficiency projects are developed and documented so inconsistently. Projects that are developed in accordance with the ICP protocols develop baselines and savings calculations consistently. The ICP methodology also lays the foundation for the implementation, operation, and verification of energy conservation measures, or ECMs, for optimal performance, and to fully realize savings over time. Therefore, IREE-certified projects can be counted on to better mitigate or minimize performance risk. Due diligence is expensive and time-consuming. Building owners typically do not possess the resources and expertise required to effectively perform due diligence tasks. Even technically adept engineers struggle to find the necessary information and documentation since projects are developed in such a disparate manner. Furthermore, during the underwriting phase, multiple parties will typically engage in redundant due diligence activities. All of this leads to unnecessary, additional, and expensive transaction costs for projects. The ICP methodology results in a standardized investment documentation package. These documentation packages are reviewed and verified by an independent ICP quality assurance assessor prior to IREE certification, which is similar to how the financial industry produces audited financial reports. Thus, IREE certification provides all stakeholders with efficient access to required project information and calculations that have been verified through independent review, which streamline the due diligence process and often results in lower origination costs. While there are a plethora of standards that might apply to a project, there has not been an industry consensus on which standards to use or how to apply them, which procedures should be included, and what is required to adequately document a project. Developers often make up their own methodologies, deliver insufficient documentation, and provide non-transparent savings calculations. This lack of standardization results in an inconsistent realization of predicted savings and a lack of confidence in a project's ability to perform. ICP's standardized and transparent methodology provides an industry template or roadmap that directly addresses this barrier. The process allows for the flexibility to accommodate the unique needs of each project, yet provides one uniform approach to documentation. Throughout the industry, there are pockets of disparate data, but because there is no industry standard for what data to include in project documentation or how to calculate it, there is a lack of actionable data. This is especially true in the case of energy efficiency project performance data, which is practically non-existent. As a result, owners and investors lack the tools necessary to adequately evaluate projects and their potential performance, which increases their perception of risk, translating to fewer approved and funded projects. The ICP methodology produces standardized documentation, which enables the normalization of project data, including performance data. This is the groundwork for industry providers and programs to share, publish, aggregate, and analyze project data. Good data is critical for decision makers to be able to make sound investment and policy choices. The widespread availability of actuarial-level data is a prerequisite for attracting institutional investors and for enabling the creation of an efficient secondary market for energy efficiency projects. The Investor Confidence Project has many goals, both near-term and long-term. In the near term, ICP is focused on increasing deal flow, or the rate at which investment offers are made, and the availability of capital for the industry. ICP's strategy to accomplish this is to reduce transaction costs associated with the underwriting process and due diligence activities, and increase confidence in project engineering and projected savings for all investors, including traditional investors, insurers, various programs, and especially building owners. Increased confidence results in more approved and financed projects. In the long term, the adoption of the ICP methodology will transform the industry. The transformation will attract large-scale institutional investors, ratings agencies, market makers, and other key financial industry providers, aggregate portfolios of energy efficiency projects, and lead to securitization in secondary markets, make standardized and normalized project and performance data available, which will enable the aggregation of actuarial-level data, providing reliable data for decision makers, and ultimately lead to the recognition of standardized energy efficiency projects as a new asset class. Click Next to continue. In the near term, ICP is focused on increasing deal flow, or the rate at which investment offers are made, and the availability of capital for the industry. ICP's strategy to accomplish this is to reduce transaction costs associated with the underwriting process and due diligence activities, and increase confidence in project engineering and projected savings for all investors, including traditional investors, insurers, various programs, and especially building owners. Increased confidence results in more approved and financed projects. In the long term, the adoption of the ICP methodology will transform the industry. The transformation will attract large-scale institutional investors, ratings agencies, market makers, and other key financial industry providers, aggregate portfolios of energy efficiency projects, and lead to securitization in secondary markets, make standardized and normalized project and performance data available, which will enable the aggregation of actuarial level data, providing reliable data for decision makers, and ultimately lead to the recognition of standardized energy efficiency projects as a new asset class. Investor-ready energy efficiency certification allows investors, owners, and all stakeholders to instantly gain confidence in project engineering practices and predicted energy savings, and enables a more streamlined underwriting process. Certified projects also provide standardized documentation packages and industry best practices to enable persistence of savings. IREE certification is awarded by GBCI to energy efficiency retrofit projects that are developed by quality engineers and developers in accordance to industry standards and best practices based on the ICP protocols, and are verified as compliant with ICP protocols through independent technical review by ICP quality assurance assessors. The ICP protocols are a set of documents that function as a guide for project development. They were created through an extensive global industry stakeholder engagement process and incorporate input from project developers, energy engineering specialists, investors, utilities, program managers, building owners, and others. They are not comprised of new measures and approaches, but rather define a roadmap for how to best implement existing standards and best practices. The ICP protocols are designed to address a wide variety of energy efficiency projects occurring across the globe today. The portfolio of ICP protocols address different building types, including commercial or tertiary, and multifamily or apartment block building types, project size and scope, including the size of the investment, the complexity of the project, and the number of differing energy conservation measures, or ECMs, and their interactivity, and the country of origin, including North America and Europe. A typical life cycle for an energy efficiency project includes origination, where a project is conceived, development, where baselines are developed, savings calculations are made, ECMs are selected, and project approaches finalized. Investment, where a project is analyzed by building owners for approval, and where investors underwrite projects and offer investments. Implementation, where a project is designed and realized. And lastly, performance, where a project becomes fully operational. ECMs and their operations are continually monitored, and where their performance is measured and verified against savings projections. IREE certification occurs between project development and investment. Since certification occurs prior to investment and implementation, ICP describes a project life cycle as having a certification period and a performance period. Let's look at how IREE certification specifically relates to each of these project phases. Projects are often originated through a combination of programs and providers. Typically, a project developer will play an instrumental role in working with the building owners to explore options to save energy through a retrofit. Project developers include a wide variety of firms and individuals, including energy service companies, or ESCOs, energy engineering firms, contractors, or installers. Various utility and public programs may also play an important role in stimulating project origination. Often, project developers work with such programs to create an attractive package for owners to consider. ICP is not in the origination business. However, it does work with developers, programs, and other channels to align the ICP methodology with their project origination efforts. During the development phase, the project developer will analyze a project's potential, explore the impact of potential energy conservation measures, or ECMs, develop energy savings models, and collaborate with owners to develop a project approach and finalize the selection of ECMs and project details. The ICP protocols specify procedural and documentation requirements that must be completed during this phase. These requirements are organized into categories according to typical project development phases, including baseline development, savings calculations, design, construction, and verification, operations, maintenance, and monitoring, or OM&M, and measurement and verification, or M&V. To receive IREE certification, a project developer is responsible for understanding and adhering to all requirements as specified in the selected ICP protocol. Project developer tasks include requirements which must be fully completed and planned for. Tasks that must be fully completed include requirements associated with the baseline and savings calculations phases. Tasks that must be planned for include requirements associated with a project's performance period, including the design, construction, and verification phase, OM&M phase, and the M&V phase. Procedural and documentation requirements for these phases are included in plans. ICP provides templates to help project developers easily create conforming plans for these phases. The certification phase is unique to the ICP project development process. In this phase, a successful technical review results in a project obtaining Investor-Ready Energy Efficiency, or IREE certification. The review must be performed by an ICP Quality Assurance, or QA assessor, who has been trained on ICP protocols and requirements, vetted for qualification and experience, and contracted with GBCI to perform quality assurance for IREE certification. To eliminate any conflict of interest, the assessor must be independent from the project development team. ICP quality assurance assessors examine submitted documentation as specified by the ICP protocols and use an ICP quality assurance project checklist to perform their technical review. Upon successful completion of their review, the QA assessor signs off on the project, indicating that the project is recommended for certification, and submits it to GBCI. GBCI may also review the submittal for quality control. Upon final approval, GBCI will issue the IREE certification. During the investment phase, investors evaluate the project and perform various due diligence and underwriting tasks to assess risk factors and determine whether they want to invest in the project. ICP considers any party who takes on performance risk to be an investor. This includes traditional debt and equity providers, but also includes insurers, providers of performance or shared savings contracts, and especially building owners. Typically, it is the building owner who is most exposed to performance risk, and in this phase, they evaluate projects and make the decision whether to approve the project or not. As the IREE certification step occurs prior to this phase, it enables investors to know that a project meets technical requirements and can be counted on for more reliable savings projections. This results in a speedier underwriting or investment process and more green lights for projects and their funding. During the implementation phase, the ECMs for the project are designed, constructed or installed, and then verified. This phase is typically aligned with the requirements for the design, construction, and verification project development phase of the ICP protocols, where operational performance verification tasks are executed per the OPV plan that was approved for IREE certification. The last phase, which occurs post-construction, is the performance phase. During this phase, it is important to ensure persistence of savings by continually monitoring ECMs and associated equipment, implementing any necessary corrective actions, and measuring and verifying performance against predictions. During the performance phase, all tasks specified in OM&M and M&V plans developed for IREE certification are executed. Such activities are often neglected post-construction, but are critical for a project's success. These plans lay the groundwork so that important OM&M and M&V activities can be performed accurately and easily. The Investor Confidence Project offers a variety of programs for all types of industry stakeholders to get involved and support ICP, including the ICP Project Developer Network, the ICP Investor Network, ICP Quality Assurance Assessors, and the ICP Ally Network.